Case of former Deputy Assistant Secretary at the State Department's Bureau for Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with this case of the man we just mentioned in El Salvador, okay? Abrego Garcia. So what is your understanding of all of this? And, you know, because there was all this back and forth, the administration says, basically, we don't have to bring this guy back. The president of El Salvador says they're not. And the Supreme Court says you got to facilitate. How do you see it?
No, I think, as you noted, he was wrongfully expelled. Kilmar had been here in Maryland for 14 years, and so he actually had legal protection to be in the United States. He's married to a U.S. citizen, and so obviously this was an administrative error. Now, the United States, the Trump administration, is paying the government of El Salvador to house these migrants who have been deported under supposed criminal charges. So just as easily, we could request the government of El Salvador to bring Kilmar back.
And that does not seem to be happening. In fact, when the president was asked about it, it took a while because they were talking about other subjects. But when a reporter asked him about it in that Oval Office meeting, at first he didn't answer the question. He turned instead to Pam Bondi, who's his attorney general, and was sitting on the couch with him. And she said the following. Here's Pam Bondi.
That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
I thought the Supreme Court said that you're supposed to facilitate it, not if they want to. How do you see it?
Well, of course. I mean, imagine if he was an American citizen and had been sent off to a prison in El Salvador. Of course, we would have leverage to ask the government of El Salvador to bring him back. And that's exactly the same in this case. If they want to make it happen, they could do it right now in the next hour or so. And so we have tremendous leverage over the government of El Salvador to do this.
Right. And clearly, what's interesting is that they didn't really kind of try to bury it and say, well, you know, we've asked him and he said no. They said things like that. And then Bukele, the president of El Salvador, says, well, it's preposterous. I'm not bringing him back. But to your point, the leverage is there, and this guy is an ally of Trump. So if Trump went to him, I think we know what the answer would be, right?
Well, of course. I mean, we're currently paying the government of El Salvador $6 million to house these migrants, the 235 Venezuelans and others that have been deported, right? So we can definitely request them to send Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. as ordered by the Supreme Court. That really is not an issue. I think the excuse that they're using that there are foreign policy considerations just are not valid in this case.
What do you say to people who are on the other side of it politically, okay, and they say that we support the president on his immigration crackdown and we want him to get rid of quote-unquote bad people, and this guy may have been, you know, associated with the gang? And I was saying earlier that, you know, I know that he denies that and all that. Maybe that's not relevant. But what if, you know, someone argues that, says, well, you know what, I don't care about it as long as we get rid of these people. What's your comeback from that, and why this case is important, maybe more so than just because of the man involved in it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we all want to live in a safe country, right? But it's important how we do these things, and particularly when it comes to deportation, everybody should be guaranteed some kind of due process. In this case, there have been no criminal charges against Abrego Garcia, or in many cases regarding the Venezuelan migrants. And so, you know, show the evidence, bring the charges forward. Let's see, really, was he affiliated with the MS-13 gang or not? And we don't have that information now. And so this is where we start to enter into dangerous territory, where we begin deporting people without any due process guarantees. And unfortunately, the Bukele administration has been doing this for quite a few years now. They've incarcerated 80,000 supposed gang members without any due process. And so it's been an ongoing issue. Unfortunately, now it's something that's affecting our own country here because of the situation of the deportations.
So what's next? Is there anything else that can be done?
Well, I think the Trump administration needs to respect the Supreme Court order and bring Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. Otherwise, we enter into a constitutional crisis.
All right, Enrique, thanks for coming on tonight. I'm going to dig. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.